You should never start on a blank page. Right? You've heard this before. You should never start on a blank page. And so we're going to fix that now. We're going to fix the problem of the blank page, sorry. And that's not the solution, although it's a pretty good solution to the blank page problem. You can always give a problem structure simply by putting a line on a piece of paper, right? Gives you a place to start. It can be a before and after, right? As it kind of is in this case. In this case, it's one day and the next. So let's say it's Monday today, which it is, and tomorrow is Tuesday, right? Now what I'm going to suggest to you is that every day comes to an end. Every school day comes to an end, which is to say every learning day comes to an end, which is to say there is a moment in every day when you have decided that you're not going to get any smarter. You're not going to learn anything new. You're not going to acquire another justified true belief or become wittier in conversation, right? At some point, your project of getting smarter stops. And what I'd really encourage you to do is not to let that moment happen the moment you put your head on the pillow. I think it should happen in the late afternoon, early evening, after which you should relax, right? That is a very healthy attitude towards learning. Spend your day learning, decide that it's over for today, I'm not going to get any smarter, and relax, right? So at that point, when you go from trying to become smarter to no longer, for the rest of the day, trying to become smarter, I'm going to encourage you to take 5 minutes, and you want to get this down to where you can do it in 5 minutes. At the beginning, maybe 10, right? Because you just got to get used to it. But you want to get this down to 5 minutes. It's part of your writing skill. And what you do is you articulate one thing you know in a simple declarative sentence, right? The financial crash of 2008 was due to an oversupply of credit from the private banking system. Right? Arguably true. Right? That kind of thing. So you write a sentence, it's got to be a nice, simple, declarative one, and it's got to be one you're really sure is true. Right? One that you have a well-founded, solidly grounded belief in, and that you could discourse wittily about amongst your peers. Right? And at the same moment, now notice this has only taken 5 minutes, you've written the sentence. At the same moment, you make a date with yourself for the next morning, preferably as the first thing you do, whenever that is, right? Obviously wake up, obviously do your morning gymnastics, whatever you do. Maybe have breakfast if you choose, maybe have a cup of coffee if that's what you need, right? But the first sort of active, intelligent thing you do, make it 27 minutes of composing a paragraph that supports, elaborates, or defends this sentence based on an image of your reader who is one of your peers, which is, say, somebody in your class who takes the class seriously, right? And what you're doing is you're trying to overcome whatever difficulty they have with that sentence that you wrote the day before. You will become better and better at picking this sentence, and you'll become better and better at facing this moment as well. At exactly 8 o'clock or whenever you decided, the day before you decided, at the appointed time, at exactly the appointed time, you start writing. And this is how you have overcome the blank page. This is not the page, this is your 27-minute moment. You start writing because you know exactly what the first thing is you should write, which is the key sentence that you already wrote yesterday, right? So all you're doing now is typing. So at exactly 8 o'clock, for about a minute, you are typing and concentrating on your key sentence and deciding whether or not this is the best way of saying it, is this the clearest and simplest and most direct way of saying it. You spend 1 or 2 minutes on your key sentence. You then give yourself about 10 minutes to write at least 6 sentences. Right? Your goal now is to get your paragraph to be big enough, right? To have enough sentences. And then when you reach the midpoint, about 12 or 13 minutes, 14 minutes into your writing session, you are going to turn it around, and you're now going to say, is this the best possible way of saying it? Right? Are these the best possible words in the best possible order to support, elaborate, or defend this point that I'm making? And remember, you've by this point chosen whether or not you're supporting, elaborating, or defending. Does that make sense? With about 4 minutes to spare, I strongly encourage you to read it out loud. Right? At this point, for some people this is kind of embarrassing. You're sitting at home, there's nobody there. You're just going to read it out into the air. It's a very useful exercise for deciding how easy it is to read your text. Right? You're really taking the position of your reader. And then you have 3 or 4 minutes left after reading it out loud where you're going to fix whatever it is that is fixable. Right? Then 27 minutes are up and you stop. And you stop no matter how well it went. It doesn't matter if it went really well. And it doesn't matter if it went really badly. You're out of time. You now have a 3-minute break to do nothing at all. I encourage you to find something that is nothing-ish to do for 3 minutes. It could be just stretching, walking around the room a little bit. You know, something simple, but preferably harmless. Right? And then get on with your day. Right? Now, getting on with your day under some conditions could be writing another paragraph. But if so, you have already decided the day before to write that other paragraph, and you can end up writing 6 paragraphs in 3 hours in a morning. That's, you know, up towards 1,200 words. It's nice to know that you have that ability. Right? It's nice to know that you can write a paragraph, 27 minutes about something you know. Every year I participate in the DHL relay race because a body like this doesn't just happen. And one of the things that happened the other year was quite interesting. A colleague of ours was on a team. We'd put 2 teams in, and one of the teams, of course, 3 of the people stayed away. So we had a 5-person, you know, 5-slot team with 2 runners. And so one of my colleagues said, no problem. I'll just run 4 times, which of course is allowed. And so he did that. What was interesting about this guy, who not only could run 20K quite quickly, was that was faster than I could run my 5, by the way. He couldn't run 20 faster. He could run each of the 5 faster than. All right. Anyway, one of the things that was very interesting about him is that his times for each lap was within 12 seconds of each other. Right? Now, there's a guy that runs a lot. Right? There's a guy that can set a pace, and he can hold that pace for within 12 seconds for every 5 kilometers. Right? That's competence, right? And it's precision. It's a precision born out of competence, right? Now, what I'm suggesting to you is that if you practice your writing in this way, right, you will become just as confident and just as precise about what's going to happen when you sit down for 27 minutes to compose a paragraph that supports, elaborates, or defends something, because you're used to that act. It's a familiar act to you, right? You know exactly what you can do under those conditions, right? The only way to get that kind of ability, by the way, is to practice, because you need to have an experience with your writing, not just a knowledge that what Thomas said is true, right, which it is. You need to actually experience it, right, day in and day out. Over the course of your studies, preferably every day. Right? Every day, at the end of the day, you make a decision about what to say. Every day you get up and you write a paragraph. Now, another thing, though, that I would point out to you is that feedback is nice. It's nice to get from teachers. It's nice to get from peers. But just like if you started a jogging regimen, right, and went out every other day and ran 5 kilometers, you wouldn't need your coach to tell you you're getting in better shape. Right? After a few weeks, you can feel it. Right? After a few weeks, running 5K is easier. Right? If you practice the piano every day for 2 weeks, you don't need anybody to tell you got better. You can hear it. Right? It's easier to play the music that was hard to play 2 weeks ago. Right? If you write a paragraph every day for 2 weeks, you don't need anybody to tell you that you became a better writer. You can feel it, and you can see it, and you can hear it when you read your own text out loud. Right? So that's how you want to go about this.